Little wave, little wave.
You make that two moves, little wave, shoulder shrug.
Sakialvin polka.
Bounce it. Dig it.
Hello, welcome to a very unusual behind the scenes of the Red Baron versus the White Death. This was a suggestion that we saw a lot in the comments, and I had never heard of the White Death. It's one of those suggestions that made me say, who? Obviously the Red Baron I had heard of and was loosely familiar with.
The Red Baron was a name I knew. I knew the Snoopy thing. I knew the pizza stuff.
Bring the Baron home. New Red Baron pouches.
And I knew like World War I and, the red plane, and he was a German.
But I really liked the way it sounded.
The Red Baron wasn't the White Death.
I want to tell you about something Lloyd's been working on and he's really excited about. A few years ago, a very talented digital artist named James made this collage of Season 5 characters. Lloyd learned about it on Instagram and then offered to hire James to make a poster for each season of ERB with every character featured. His idea was that each image could stand on its own, or you could take any combination and display them all together. We now have the final prints of our first 6 seasons, all on nice thick paper with juicy, colory ink, and they are available for sale now, autographed in very limited quantities at erbofhistory.com. We also did one more pressing of our first Greatest Hits vinyl record. It's got all these songs on it, and we're going to move on to making Greatest Hits Volume 2, so this might be the last pressing of this one for a while. Thank you for being here, and enjoy the rest of the behind the scenes.
The Red Baron, the White Death, it had a nice ring to it. The reason this behind the scenes is a little bit unusual, normally we go to set and we have 2 cameras with us. Lloyd brings a camera and I bring the camera, and we just kind of go around filming things, and we hand the camera to people and they film some stuff. And both of us had the settings on our camera wrong, so they captured no audio. Lloyd's is all in like slow motion, and mine just like didn't work at all. So we don't have any of our normal kind of behind the scenes footage, so I'm not sure how we're gonna put this together, but we're gonna try our best.
Camera speeds. Let's do playback.
Stalin sent you sitting ducks. Your kill counts due to luck. Your whole campaign is set too easy as fuck. Tiptoeing around, killing weak Russian recruit. You're a sneaky little ninja of low-hanging fruit.
For years, we worked on this, and I think the reason it took so long is because the subject material was a little, I don't want to say dry. Charlemagne was dry. Charlemagne was real dry. These characters aren't boring, but they just aren't something that everybody knows about. So it was a really challenging writing process to take these 2 characters, take all this information, and kind of distill it into a combination of we're making jokes, but we're also kind of teaching you about who the hell these people are.
But I don't pull a slay. I slay when I pull. I'm a bullet through a fan.
The White Death was a Finnish sniper who, during the Winter War it's called, Russia invaded Finland.
It's like a David and Goliath story. And in their situation, they were kind of like the good guys who were getting invaded by this big, marauding, bullying force, which is Russia. And they were sort of fighting to defend their homeland.
He had one lyric that was about the I can't say it right, Sakiarvin polka. And we really wanted to get that in there. That's this like famous polka song that was in Finland.
Cool thing about the Sakiarvin polka is that they used it to explode landmines. They would turn the frequency up really high, and then the frequency of that song would blow up the landmines and expose them.
I'm blowing up your spot like the Sakialvin polka.
Right now, I am currently looking up dances for the Sakialvin polka, just to give the White Death a little bit of a do-si-do there on that line. Hold on, players are coming to the dance floor. I'm gonna commentate here. Players are getting into the classic polka circle. This is a classic polka formation. The Sakialvin polka. I do my thing. When I rap, you wanna hear me sing. I wanna come say yes or no, rock to the Sakialvin polka. Hey, 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 hey. Maybe that's where rap got the haze from.
One of my other favorite lyrics was, once you meet the Fockers, you'll have never been stiller. Sometimes we'll just sit down with a list of words. Like we had Fockers, that's the name of the plane that the Red Baron flew, was a Fokker. And that got us talking about meet the Fockers and Ben Stiller, just little things like that, just kind of wiggle out. You take terms and you just kind of keep shaking them until something that makes you laugh comes out.
I'm the greatest sniper ever, took out 1,000 surgically. If you've never heard of me, I did my job perfectly. You wouldn't last a minute in the snow pits I was sitting in. I'm faithful for my homeland, like Sub-Zero,
You wouldn't last a minute in the snow pits I was sitting in. I'm fatal for my homeland. I'm fatal for my homeland. Not Scottish. Believe it or not, the accent for this battle was very challenging. If you never heard of me, I done my job perfectly. You wouldn't last a minute. I don't know how to do the minute part. The Scandinavian accent, I've done that a little bit before. And Finnish people speak English very well. So there's tons of video of Finnish people speaking English. And there's plenty of models to listen to. We were able to download some software that you could input any dialogue that you wanted, and you would get an accurate Finnish accent.
You wouldn't last a minute.
You wouldn't last a minute. You wouldn't last a minute.
In the snow pits.
In the snow pits. I think the biggest thing for me with the White Death is his complete lack of remorse.
I don't want to say, I say when I pull. Too much? No.
And the juxtaposition of how lethal he was with his physical appearance. Obviously, after his injury, that changes his face quite a bit. But, I mean, I don't want to stereotype, but my man looks cuddly. I've killed 600 men, one bullet at a time, but I also look like I could babysit your 9-year-old.
But you're the red Pringle couldn't even beat Snoopy!
Hello? We're gonna take a look inside of an After Effects comp of the Red Baron. This is the footage. This is me just sitting there. There's Red Baron, it says RB Handfix Pre. So that's the pre-comp of the Red Baron footage. What happened here is I was moving too big and I went out of frame. I'm going, fast. But we liked the performance. So what Dan did, he stole a different hand and he put it on the frame before. Can you see that? That way when it gets to here, it matches. That's a really interesting trick. We've done that 100 times. The hardest one I've ever had to do was replacing a mouth on Neil deGrasse Tyson. He did this dance move that was amazing, but he said the wrong word. And I was like, oh, we gotta use that dance move. So I had to take the mouth performance from one take and post it on his face. If you look real carefully, you might be able to spot it.
We took a couple questions from Instagram before we went on set to shoot this battle. I got a question from a guy named Sam Kornreich who says, more so a writing question than a production one, but how do you choose who raps first in battles, who's announced first, and whose name comes first in the title? It often flips. There might be a line or two in one of the verses that really makes a good starter line. For White Death, his introduction was really strong.
I'm the greatest sniper ever, took out 1,000 surgically. If you've never heard of me, I did my job perfectly.
That kind of explains a lot about who White Death is, and also the biggest challenge to that character, which is people not being familiar with who that even was. That's why he ended up going first. And also we had a line from Red Baron that sounded like it could be a response to a first verse.
I'm the ace of aces and I'm coming in hot on a basketball looking like a phantom of the opera.
That doesn't really feel right to go first. And then the announcer, it's up for grabs. Sometimes the title, we wait till the very last second. We've been calling this one Baron Death forever, so I think it'll be Red Baron versus White Death. Also, I think we've done that flip-flop before where we've called the YouTube video one thing and the iTunes another thing, and that's by accident.
Starting since you sitting ducks, your kill counts to the luck. Your whole campaign is set too easy as fuck.
Keep going around killing Russian recruits. You're an elf on a shelf in a poncho and Ugg boots.
We here at ERB made this instrumental, made this beat. We made about 3 different versions of the beat for this song.
Up close, you look like a scared little kid on a sled. And that verse was the most about you that's ever been said.
After we had recorded, I think, a demo or 2, we found this one and said, oh no, this is cool, let's just use this. There was an intensity to it, it just moved along. Thought it captured kind of the feeling of these 2 military fighters. It's one of the best things about our creative process, and especially our modern creative process. We give ourselves a lot of time, obviously, too much time sometimes. But it gives us the freedom to try things, realize they're not right, and then try a different thing.
All of your lyrical cheap shots are shoddy. They should have left you on top of that pile. They should have left you on top of that pile of dead. All of your lyrical cheap shots are shoddy. They should have left you on that pile of dead. Okay.
Yeah.
We really go for something, listen to it, record the full song, go, how is this? Not good, let's try again. That's how we like to do it, man. Nobody's here. It's late at night. Desperate. 5 days before we film. Best time to record.
I killed more in Moulton you did in your lifespan. You're not Top Gun, you're just another mark for the Iceman.
There's always something that happens, or always some movement, or always some challenge that pops up on set that we wouldn't really have been able to plan for no matter what we did. And I think twirling that gun was mine. It kept on getting caught on like the side of my jacket.
No scope and let it go like a frozen savannah.
I had to do it over and over and over again.
No scope and let it go like a frozen savannah. No scope and let it go like a frozen savannah. No scope and let it go like a frozen savannah.
You can see me in the choreography. I kind of sometimes just go dead behind my eyes. All I'm thinking, twirl this gun, move my shoulder when I say this word, that word, this word. But ultimately, I think it was worth it. By the end, I got it.
No scope and let it go like a frozen savannah.
I think that was the best twirl.
I guess this is like my 9-year-old boy's biggest dream, pretending I'm essentially Storm Shadow with a rifle. Yes!
Your pizza's crap, I should battle DiGiorno. My name stands for Sisu, your name's on a porno.
All right, got another question here from Instagram. How often, if ever, have ad-libs made it into the final tracks? That's a good question. I would say they make it in at least 1 or 2 every battle. The one I think of right away is in Zeus versus Thor at the very end.
Yeah, take these drachma for your eyes. When you get to River Styx, tell your 3-headed bitch I say hi.
That whoop at the end, not in the lyrics. I just kind of did that in the Red Baron versus White Death. The best thing I could tell you is like the announcer at the end. That one was not planned. It was completely in the moment. It was sort of just an inspired, really long, funny take that Pete did. That's a great example of an ad-lib making it into the battle.
So now, underneath, we've got the background. This is the original background. I made this in Unreal Engine. The sun in this world is over here. Does that make sense? So it's shining this way. That's why it looks like this. So to get the sun to come up behind here is kind of physically impossible. I really couldn't figure it out. Then I tried Google's new Flow program. It takes ingredients and extrapolates video from it. So I took a still of this background that I made in Unreal Engine, put it into Google's Flow, and told it I wanted the sun to rise behind the mountains while the camera's pulling back. It took about 6 tries, but eventually I was able to get this. I was really impressed with how it figured out how to do it. Like I said, it is physically impossible to have the sun coming up here and have it be this color. So what I did here was I got this sunrise background, and I basically just did the simplest thing ever. I started it at a low percentage. We're at 37% opacity, and we basically just faded in. That's how we fake a sun rising behind him in a way that it's not physically possible. Another Google Flow, gotta hand it to Google Flow. So here's me, I'm just sitting on a stool, but my scarf, it didn't show up too good during the filming, so I asked for a white scarf on a green screen background with a fan blowing on it, and it even put the fan in there. Like, this looks exactly like the fan that we actually did use. I'm not kidding. We used a big black fan from Harbor Freight, and this looks like a big black fan from Harbor Freight. It's bananas.
Ram said you were only ever good at one thing. Tell me, how effective would you be in the spring?
The costumes was a combination of things that we acquired. The boots I ordered on Amazon, these weird furry boots that look kind of like girls' clubbing boots is what Lloyd thought they looked like. And then the rest of the costume pieces we put together from a place called Western Costumes. They have everything, but they have a specific historical costume section.
It feels good, I'll tell you. Got a nice like crunchiness to it.
And what was cool is when we showed up to pick out our costumes and rent our costumes, the guy who was working there was a fan of ERB. So that was always helpful.
That's big right there.
You might have noticed that in the battle, Lloyd's face was all disfigured.
That's hilarious. I don't pull a sword. I still you wanna pull.
What happened was Simo Haiha, the White Death, he got shot. A bullet sliced across his cheek, and he was left for dead. He actually came to on a pile of dead bodies.
All your lyrical cheap shots are shoddy. They should have left you on that pile of dead bodies.
Couple more of these?
Yeah, I like that a lot.
we went back and forth on whether to show his face scarred or not. And that was something we actually discussed with the Patreon folk a lot, was should we or should we not have his face messed up? Because when he was fighting, his face wasn't messed up. When the bullet hit him, he stopped being a sniper because he was recuperating. But we decided in the end that it was a part of his visual identity. He lived the rest of his life with this pretty significant facial scar, so we decided to go with it.
Your new nose.
My very first nose job. Thank you very much, Epic Rap Battles Productions. Hopefully no one will notice.
For this prosthetic, it was pretty simple, and the technology of the prosthetics has gotten a lot better in the last couple years.
The process we used for that was just a couple of latex pieces that were kind of glued onto Lloyd's face. We knew we wanted to keep kind of his face covered for the first section of the song, and then at some point, reveal his face. And originally we were gonna not reveal his face till the very, very end, like the last shot. But I thought it looked so interesting, different, that we wanted to reveal that earlier. So we chose to do that at the end of White Death's first verse. He'll take his hood off and reveal his face.
Now it's time to make a zombie out of these dolphin.
Whoa.
Stop with gamble free is how I like to keep the sky. Got a goblet custom made every time I grease a guy. Use up so much silver it's depleted Germany's supply. Now leave me flat and cold like my frozen pizza pie. This is crap, I should have a giorno. My name's Nick for season.
As usual, we did a ton of research on these things. I read a lot. There's several documentaries on the White Death. There's a movie about the Red Baron called The Red Baron, which is not really that good. Like the flying sequences in it, I think, are pretty good. And it gave us a really good idea in terms of the cinematography and how to shoot. I pulled a lot of stills from that movie to give to Pete and Ryan and John so that we could have an idea of how high a cockpit actually comes up on the face of somebody and like what your body does when you dive and move.
Can I do this, Andy? All right. Yeah, this is where it's at.
On set, there was a big fan blowing on me, trying to make the scarf flutter a little bit. Didn't really flutter. In retrospect, I maybe should have gotten a leaf blower, kind of put it on my face. That might have been uncomfortable. The fan did make it a little tricky to perform because there was just this constant stream of air into my eyes. So I would have a good performance, and then at the very end, I would have to blink awfully. So I kind of ruined a lot of takes with these terrible blinks. But all in all, we worked so hard and so long on the song and the writing. By the time it came time to filming, we just wanted to have fun. That's part of my favorite thing about making these videos, is that they're supposed to be fun. And we're supposed to have fun doing it, and we hope that that translates on screen to you watching it, that it's fun.
Yeah, that's okay.
As always, thank you for watching this unique behind the scenes. This was a suggestion that came from you, the audience, and we really liked it. We don't know what we're gonna do next, but we are doing more and more live concerts, which has been a really fun way to connect with people in real life. There's been more and more people showing up at concerts in costume, and we try and bring those people up on stage and let them be a part of the show. Look out on our website, it's erbofhistory.com. We'll be posting more and more tour dates as we look at 2026. So we hope to come to a city near you. We hope to see you again soon, somehow or another. Okay, bye.